And here's something to think about if you're considering any ocean travel in the North Atlantic. A large ship, technically an ocean liner, believed to be adrift.
The saga of the Lyubov Orlova, a once proud Soviet cruise liner, took a bizarre and eerie turn after it became known as a ghost ship adrift in the Atlantic Ocean, allegedly crewed by swarms of cannibalistic rats. This unsettling tale of maritime mystery combines elements of abandonment, dereliction, and superstition, captivating the public's imagination and sparking media frenzy. What was once a luxurious vessel traversing the Arctic seas was reduced to a drifting relic, unmanned, decaying, and lost in the vastness of the ocean. The Lyubov Orlova was built in 1976 in the former Yugoslavia, named after a famous Soviet actress. It was designed as an expedition cruise ship, primarily used to carry tourists on scenic voyages through the Arctic and Antarctic regions. For decades, the ship served its purpose, carrying passengers on adventurous journeys to some of the most remote places on Earth, including the breathtaking icy landscapes of Greenland and Antarctica. By the 1990s, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the ship changed ownership multiple times. As the years passed, it was clear that the Lyubov Orlova was aging, and her condition began to deteriorate. In 2010, the ship was impounded in Newfoundland, Canada, due to unpaid debts and legal disputes. What was once a symbol of Soviet elegance was now a rusting relic, tied up in bureaucratic red tape and legal battles, waiting for its fate to be decided. In 2012, it was decided that the Lyubov Orlova would be sold for scrap. A tugboat was tasked with towing the ship to a scrapyard in the Dominican Republic, where it would be dismantled. However, in January 2013, only a day after the ship began its final voyage, the tow line snapped in rough seas, and the Lyubov Orlova broke free. The crew of the tugboat attempted to recapture the vessel, but the treacherous weather made it impossible. Thus, the Lyubov Orlova was set adrift, a massive ghost ship now at the mercy of the ocean currents and weather. With no crew on board, the ship began its aimless journey across the Atlantic. In the months that followed, sightings of the ship were sporadic, and the exact location of the drifting vessel became an ongoing mystery. Efforts to track the Lyubov Orlova failed repeatedly as the ship drifted further and further from populated areas. One of the more macabre aspects of the Lyubov Orlova's story involves the creatures believed to have taken over the ship during its time at sea. Reports began to emerge that the abandoned ship was infested with rats, hundreds, perhaps thousands of them. Without any food sources available, it was speculated that the rats had turned to cannibalism to survive. The idea of a ghost ship, devoid of human life but teeming with desperate, vicious rats, captured the public's imagination, turning the Lyubov Orlova into a subject of horror. Rumors of the rat ship were fueled by the ship's disappearance and the infrequency of sightings. The ship was now a decaying hulk, battered by storms in the relentless ocean, but it was still afloat. Speculations arose that the rats, confined to the ship for months, were multiplying in numbers and had become territorial and aggressive. In February 2013, a satellite tracked the Lyubov Orlova near the coast of Ireland, sparking fears that the ship could eventually wash up on European shores. However, the ship was never seen near land. Instead, its ultimate fate remains a mystery. Some believe the ship eventually sank to the bottom of the ocean, pulled under by the weight of time and corrosion. Others speculate that it may still be drifting somewhere, a floating derelict on the fringes of maritime traffic. In 2014, a British tabloid reported that the ship might be on a collision course with the British Isles, once again raising public alarm. However, there was never any concrete evidence that the Lyubov Orlova was still afloat. Despite repeated attempts by various organizations and governments to track the vessel, it simply vanished into the vastness of the ocean, leaving only rumors and speculation in its wake. The story of the Lyubov Orlova gained global attention, partly due to its ghostly nature and partly because of the media's sensational reporting. The image of a giant, rusting ship drifting aimlessly, crewed by cannibal rats, was too captivating to ignore. However, the reality of the situation is likely less dramatic. While it's plausible that some rats were present on the ship when it was abandoned, the idea of swarms of bloodthirsty, cannibalistic rats is likely an exaggeration. Maritime experts have pointed out that without a steady food supply, any rats on the ship would have either died off or abandoned the ship long before it posed any real threat. Nevertheless, the myth has persisted, and the fate of the Lyubov Orlova has entered the annals of maritime lore.